Shalom my friends, and welcome to me kvetching about Borderlands 2. I'll be talking about things I like, things I didn't like, and possible ways to improve them in this game. Now, Borderlands 2 is a sequel to the original Borderlands by Gearbox Software, as you can see over here. Now, what is it you say? Well, as I said, it's a sequel to Borderlands, where they basically took everything you liked about Borderlands and improved upon it in some way. Such as there are more environments, such as snow and green hilly areas, as you can see behind my guy there. They've added those. There's 5, rather than 4, characters this time, mainly because the 5th, she summons a lady who summons a giant robot. She was added as DLC, which you got if you pre-ordered the game, which I did not. So I do not have her, and I'm not going to spend $10 to get her. So I'm just going to go by what friends have told me about that DLC. I mean, she's good, but not amazing, and according to them, if you go down the trees that buff her robot, it's borderline overpowered. But I digress. Now, one thing I like is, as you can see here, you can actually change your character, or at least how he looks. In the original, you could only change the coloration, but in this one, you can change their heads as well as the coloration, so they added a bit. That's definitely a good thing. I'm a huge fan of that. Now let me jump into my game. I'm going to continue here, and I'll show you and talk a little about other things that I enjoy. Such as, well, here's the game. I definitely enjoy the art design. It's a lot sharper than it used to be. I mean, it still has that cel-shaded outline. The textures are a little bit better. Not amazing, but then again, they don't need to be. So overall, the appearance is a lot sharper. Let's go look at Ellie, one of the new characters, who has some amazing assets that are apparently bulletproof. So they introduced new characters, a lot of new characters in fact. They are all, for the most part, fairly enjoyable to they're enjoyable characters. They're funny, they're amusing, most of them are well written. They have good shadow effects. So I like the fact that they've added new characters as well. Along the lines of the first one, the story is a lot better compared to the first one. The story of the first one gets summed up in the first minute of the opening cutscene. I mean it, because honestly, the story is you find the ancient vault and it's filled with tentacles and disappointment. They nail that to a T. You can't argue with that, honestly. And this one is a lot more interesting. It starts out simply you're on a train seeking another vault that was found on Pandora. Handsome Jack, the main antagonist, tries to kill you, and then it becomes a revenge mission to kill Jack. And they improve upon that because it actually starts to get rather interesting as they bring in old characters from the original game. Yes, Roland, as you can see here, over in the... Shut up, Scooter. You can see Roland, who is the soldier from the original game. He is in this game, as is Lilith, Mordecai, and Brick. And so the fact that they bring him back and they give him character is a very nice improvement over the previous game, which was just, you know, they would only say a couple of things and that was that. Here, not only do our characters say stupid things, but every character starts with an echo device that gives you some backstory, and later on in the game you find additional echo devices that expand on their backstory, which is a nice improvement over the last one. I just wish they would expand it a little bit further, because honestly, I'd really be interested to know what these characters have to say and what their full backstory was. Instead, we just learned why they arrive in Pandora, why they're doing what they're doing, and then we get to listen to them say stupid things over and over again. Next on the list of things I enjoy is the character abilities. Much like the first one, where you had the turret, the ability to go berserk, and all that, they still kept all that in here this time. I mean, I feel like a certifiable badass as Salvador. Let me prove that to you. I'm going to aggro these guys over here. Let me target my ability called Gunzerking, which is simply everything dies. And while Gunzerking, I have my ammo regenerates, my health regenerates. Unfortunately, my grenades don't, but then again, that'd make this a little bit overpowered than it already is, because it gives you damage resistance and health along with everything else. I mean, you feel like a certifiable badass with every character's abilities, and I like the fact that they had that happen, because otherwise it'd be, well, kind of boring if you weren't a badass when you play this alone. The fact they added that, or the fact that the abilities are indeed so powerful, and you can even change them with these relics, which I like to have this mod on because unlimited ammo. And as you can see, everything else pretty much still the same, class mods and lots of guns. That's actually something I really enjoy, are the guns. There are a lot of guns. Unfortunately, as I'm still fairly early on, most of the guns wow, that gun does suck. All the guns I have are still fairly low level and kind of but there is a very large amount, a rather interesting amount of weaponry to be had. And the one thing I like is every gun now, let me go back to my menu screen here, the manufacturer tells you how the gun is going to perform. So as he has a Hyperion gun, the more you fire, the better accuracy you get. So eventually you're going to be hitting dead on with every single bullet. Bandit guns, for example, remember in the first one Vladov had the most rounds? Now bandit guns have the most rounds, but it's Vladov has the best fire rate. As you can see, there's a minigun barrel attached. Let me drop it on the floor, get a better look at it. Vladov guns have the best fire rate, and they have things such as Gatling barrels on it. Can't argue with that, can you? TDR guns explode when you throw them. This is a dull gun that I have in my hand. Burst fire every time you aim down the sights. And I said, and as you saw these, and Jacobs is of course the one shot, one kill type weapon. So I like the fact that they've added this variety, and they've all given every gun their own personality. I definitely love that. An odd thing that I like about this game are escort missions. Now, don't get me wrong, escort missions still suck. Pink cars, however, do not, but escort missions are absolutely atrocious. Nobody likes them, but the main reason I say I like them is in this game, escort missions, the NPC is invincible. He is unable to be killed. That makes escort missions a lot more tolerable, and I hope all other games actually, learn from that, because honestly, nothing annoys anyone more than... What the... Oh, you got stuck, haha. Then escort NPCs that can die, mostly due to their own stupidity, and they get rid of that. I definitely enjoy that. Let's see, other things I enjoy. I mean, the humor of this game is actually very, very good. The humor is well intact, like the first one. A difference, though, is a lot of this game refers to pop culture. You can definitely tell when the script of this game was written, because a lot of the humor that goes on is no longer all that funny to the... Where is that? Oh, there it is. It's no longer funny to the more internet-savvy people, such as they have arrow in the knee or bullet in the knee jokes. They have cool story, bro, along with other internet memes. Yes, it's pronounced memes. Things that, a while ago were kind of funny, but now not so much. But they do have some things that are generally hilarious, like everything Scooter and Ellie say, as well as the character Tiny Tina. I'm not going to get to her, but she is a laugh riot. I love her voice actress, whoever it is. I'm afraid I'd need to pull it up to figure it out. And speaking of characters, actually, I like Handsome Jack. Actually, no. Let me take that back. I hate Handsome Jack, but I hate him for different reasons. When he first shows up, he's an immature, crass, infantile little jerk who, well, yes, he did try to kill you. That's not good. But what's wrong is he starts out like that, but as the game goes by, his story opens up and you see what he's really like. Not only is he a clinical definition of a complete psychopath, and I mean that in the nicest way, actually. A clinical definition of a psychopath is someone who is, who has no empathy. Oh, what the hell? Better get in this real quick. Someone who has no emotional attachment to anyone, who is completely devoid of empathy, who doesn't care about anyone else, who only cares about what other people can do for him. He's willing to use and abuse everyone to get what he wants, and to hell with everyone else. He's, you know, not crazy. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's just a very nasty individual. And the fact they have that shows something. It gave me an evolution of hatred, and not many villains have managed to complete that. Yeah, in a level has managed to actually complete that. Most people, you just hate them because they're just annoying. They're, immature, annoying. They don't really pose a threat. This guy, though, makes you clearly detest him with the things he does during the gameplay, which I will not spoil for you. But honestly, for Gearbox able to make a clinical definition of a complete psychopath like that, I applaud them. They actually got me to truly hate someone, and it's been a while since anyone's managed to do that in terms of video game villains, and I thank them so much for that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a quick cut to the main menu to show you one of the things I also really, really enjoyed. Let me cut real quick and I'll tell you what it is. As you can see right here, this is what I was talking about. They have a brony. Chris Francis, sir, I salute you, but I unfortunately have to disagree with you completely because Twilight is best pony. Now that I've pretty much gone over everything that I liked about this game, I'm afraid now I'm going to have to talk about the things I didn't like, as well as things I feel could be done to improve it. I'm going to cut to a different... Let me just get out of this real quick. I'm not going to show you on this guy because he doesn't have enough toys to show. So let me go over to my main guy, my melee assassin, while I go over the things I didn't like and what they can do to change that, I feel. Now, one thing, remember how I said I liked the guns? I mean, I do like the guns. They're pretty awesome. They're amusing. But here's what I also don't like the guns. But you just said you like the guns. How can you not like them? Quite simple. Here's what I mean when I say I don't like the guns. They're samey. I mean, when I have a gun, I know exactly what it's going to do. Hey, this is, a Jacob's gun, or hey, this is a shotgun. It's going to act exactly the way you expect. It's going to behave a certain way. Like so. And it doesn't matter what gun I have. I mean, sure, it might, shoot a little quicker. And that's a T-Door thing, so I understand why that's going to happen. But it's always going to act the exact same way. So I will say I didn't notice the rotating barrel until just then. But what I mean to say when I don't like that is... Well, this game is about having a crapload of guns and having some of these guns be completely nonsensical and crazy. Out of the 34 hours it took me to beat the game, I think I only found 3 or 4 guns that were actually like that. And I can remember them too. The first one is Captain Flint's gun, which shoots out the little flares. I found a sniper rifle that shot things in a 3-way burst. I found a rocket launcher that shot a small pink ball that, would detonate and destroy all stashes in the area. And I found, well, that assault rifle that you get from Dr. Mercy. That was it. They could honestly do things to improve upon that, such as, if you're going to make things crazy, make them completely crazy, you know what I mean? Like, I want a grenade mod that lets me throw midgets that will latch onto people and then explode, like Chao Tzu from Dragon Ball, only actually be useful. I'd like them to make it so... Good for you. I'd like it so, a rocket launcher that shot puppies that would distract enemies and then explode, because why not? I want an assault rifle that shoots out knives, just so we can just go completely off the wall. Or, if we want to stay somewhat in the realm of realism, give me a pistol that has a Gatling barrel on it. That way, it's completely crazy, it's completely ineffective, but it'd at least be somewhat interesting. I mean, because most of these guns, the vast majority, just are not interesting, and I don't like that. Next thing that I don't really like, I'm going to jump to the dust to show this off, is I hate the cars. Well, I don't hate the cars. The cars have done nothing to me, and I don't, they don't bother me all that much. What I mean is I don't like the cars is, ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. There's only 2 of them. Now, And I know in the DLC, Captain Scarlet and her pirate's booty, that changes a bit. They add a sand skiff, a hovercraft type deal, and that's all well and good, but not enough in my opinion. They could add, if they could make it so you could, craft your own car rather than just use the ones pre-built. Like, say in the next one, they could do is simply, you go to the catch a ride, Scooter says, "Oh my goodness, I'm not going to try this accent, but the catch a ride has been hacked, I've lost all my data, we are going to have to build some new cars." Where they can go from there is you go out to a bandit camp, you steal frames. With these frames, you get some iron plates, some weapons, and an engine and tires. You come back here, plonk them down, throw your decoy, and then you build up the runner, the initial car that we all come to know and love. And then after we build this car, that car, with bubblegum, you then have the ability to go out, destroy bandits, and as you destroy bandits, they drop additional car parts, additional frames, additional armor plating, wheels, engines, and eventually you'll be able to create whatever type of vehicle you want. You want to create a Koenig Tiger, a World War II battle tank? Go right ahead. You want to build, a Stug? Go right ahead. You want to build a monster truck? Go right ahead. You want to build a bicycle with a helicopter blade on it? Why the hell not? Just let us go balls to the walls crazy with these things so we can do our own little thing and have fun doing it. Otherwise, it's just kind of boring with what we currently have available to us, and I'd like them to improve upon that a bit. While we're on the case of vehicles, they handle like crap. They're not very intuitive. You don't use the W, S, and S to go forward and backwards, but you drive around by pointing your mouse in the direction you want to go. And that power slide isn't very effective, though let me see if I can do something real quick. That sort of worked, but I really don't like how it feels. It's not very responsive, it's not very intuitive. They could definitely do some changes on this, tighten it up a bit, and while I'm talking about things that I hate, escort mission, or no, not escort missions, I like the escort missions. Timed missions! No! No! Timed missions are bad! Nobody likes timed missions, especially when the controls to complete said timed mission are very not fun to mess around with. They, honestly, whoever thought, Gearbox, whoever's listening, anyone who came up with the timed missions, slap them. With a fish. A nice, wet, sloppy fish for coming up with such a bad idea. And while you're at it, tune up the controls of your vehicles as well. Next thing I don't really like is this is actually going to be going into the multiplayer field. Fortunately, as you saw earlier, none of my friends are on, and they're the only ones I would play with. There's no real class synergy amongst the classes. Sure, they're all strong and powerful and badass, but, when you're together with friends, it's, every man for himself, no one's abilities really coincide with the other, it's sort of, since everyone can do their own thing, there's no real need for anyone to really work together, no real need to dictate when to use skills when. That's something they could definitely change. I feel if they gave us the ability to add more than one type of action skill, like, as Zero I only have Deception, but give me the ability to summon, I don't know, to throw a smoke grenade that allies in it take reduced weapon damage, or enemies are more likely to hit them, or you can get by enemies unnoticed with it. Or, let's say, Maya, whatever, however she's pronounced, she gets the ability to throw down a phase wall that your bullets going through gain a random elemental chance, and enemy bullets coming through you have random benefits, like, it'll give you health or armor or shields, or not do any damage or do incredibly lower damage. Just something that they can do that makes it a little bit more interesting to play with friends. Just some way that they can get more abilities that'll work together somehow. And while I'm complaining about multiplayer, looting is still a problem. And I mean in a big way. if you're with someone who is not a friend and you're fighting a boss or a lot of monsters, and let's just say a really amazing sniper rifle drop, this is totally not from personal experience, by the way, there is absolutely nothing stopping Urs McJerkwad from stealing that gun right out from under your nose and disconnecting. There are some easy ways that you can do to, fix this problem. One is follow what every other loot-based game is currently doing and give everyone gets their own loot that they get to choose from. Everyone sees their own loot. Sharing money and ammo? Great idea. I love that. But I'd really want to be able to get our own loot so no one is actually able to steal it from you. Or if you don't want to get that, give us a roll system so you can go, hey, Urs McJerkwad is stealing your gun. Roll for it. And thus give you the ability, and if you win, you get the weapon. I mean, I personally prefer everyone gets their own, that way no one ever gets left out. But, your game, you do what you want. I'm just making stupid suggestions. And while I'm at it, yes, still multiplayer stuff, the more people who join your game, the more health enemies have. Not a bad thing in and of itself, but what's bad is when you get 3 or 4 people, enemies have so much health that unless you're all focusing on the same enemy, enemies are just annoying bullet sponges. You can easily resolve this problem. Well, maybe not easily resolve this problem, but with the more health enemies have, the more damage they take, and the more annoying it is because they're not difficult to take care of. I mean, let's face it, enemies come in 3 varieties. I have a gun, I'll sit back and shoot you. I have a melee weapon, or I don't, or I only have teeth, I'm gonna run up and melee you. Or I have a bomb, I'm gonna go blow myself up now. And I just got myself stuck. There we go. That is frankly kind of irritating as well. But an easy fix for this, maybe not easy, but what they could do to make this a little bit more interesting is the more people who join your game unlocks new abilities for the enemies instead. How about that, yeah? You start, let's just take a skag pup, because everyone loves skag pups. They're cute, cuddly, and easy to shoot in the face. You're just playing alone. They typically do what they do best, which is sit there and die. Then your friend joins. Now they have a little bit more health, a little bit more attack, and now they also have the ability to knock back like an alpha skag, so they can run into you and knock you down a bit, or at least throw off your aim. Therefore, they now take a little bit more effort to take care of. Now your third friend joins. Now the skag pup has the ability to latch onto your leg, bite on your leg. Now you can't run as fast, you can't sprint, and you can't jump until you or a friend shoots or melees the poor pup that's attached to you. And now your fourth friend joins. Now the skag pup, along with all the health and damage buffs he's gotten from the amount of players, now he also has the ability to latch onto your face. While latched onto your face, you obviously can't see, and you will need to shake the pup off, either by QTEs or just moving your mouse around to get rid of him. And then that way you can have either friends will need to take him off, or it doesn't leave you completely unstopped or completely STL. Or, what the hell? STL? SOL, sorry. Boy, don't know where the hell I was going with that one. SOL, but if you have a friend, it just makes things a lot easier for everyone. This way, enemies get more abilities. They're they take a little bit more strategy to beat the more people join, just something along that line. Rather than just, hey, more people joined, everyone can now absorb bullets like SpongeBob SquarePants. Next, while I'm on the topic of bullet sponges, bosses. Now, I don't hate the bosses per se, I just found them easy. I mean, boringly easy. I think I only had trouble with one boss, and that was the bunker boss, and that's strictly because of the sheer amount of ads he was adding, and I was playing as Melee Zero, who has some trouble with armored enemies, and that's all robots are. But that was the only boss that gave me trouble. Everyone else, it was simply, I'm gonna shoot you. A lot. And eventually you'll die, while I'm in no threat to myself. I don't know what they could do to change this a bit. I've heard, since I don't have the DLC, Captain Scarlet and her Pirate's Booty, since I do not own that. I can't speak for the DLC. I've heard some people say, that you've changed that a bit, that it is a bit more entertaining. If that is, then, good on you. I give you a thumbs up on that. Otherwise, you need to... I think there's some dynamics that could be... make fights a little bit more dynamic, have some interactive elements with it, to make it a bit more interesting for everyone involved. And also, speaking of DLC, I do not think the Mechromancer is worthy of the $10 that she's being charged for. And from what I've heard from friends, Captain Scarlet and her Pirate's Booty, while not horrible, is a lot like the first DLC for the original Borderlands. If you guys remember that, I believe it was the Island of Dr. Ned. No, it was interesting. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't difficult. But it also wasn't exceedingly amusing and really not worth the $10. That's what I've heard from the deal about the Captain Scarlet and her Pirate's Booty. I just love saying that. Now, again, I'm just going from hearsay from my friends who have it. But I honestly trust their opinion, so if they say that, I'd say I'm going to be waiting for their General Knox in Claptrap's Revolution, which I loved infinitely more than the Island of Dr. Zed as the first DLC. Who knows? I could be wrong, but I'm going to wait for all the DLC to be bundled together before I find out for myself. So I'd say, do that if you'd wish, but I can't really say one way or the other. And that about concludes my thoughts on this game that I honestly thoroughly enjoyed. Now about the only thing I can really talk about is the price point. I paid... Ooh, blue item. As I'm easily distracted by blue items, even this late in the game. Yay, customization! As I did say, I do like the fact that they have all these customizations, and yes, I have a lot of guns that I haven't sold yet. I guess let me just conclude on this point here. I typically go by a 1 hour of entertainment per $1 spent for my buying power. It took me 34 hours to beat this game, and I paid $60 for it, and I didn't pre-order it, so I don't get any of that extra content, but $60, 34 hours of content, for the first run through. Going by the one-to-one equation there, not exactly a good purchase, though now we have other variables to throw in here. Like, if you have friends to play with, if you like playing this with friends, replay value is through the roof, as other classes, as, just playing with strangers is nice if you want to play through with others. Playing through with friends increases that value very, very much. I can see myself playing through it again, as you actually see here. I do have him on the True Vault Hunter mode. So I'm playing through it again, so if I play through again, I'll probably beat it in 30 hours. That will take me over the 60-hour mark, so that will make this a good purchase. A lot of people don't use this conversion rate of $ spent per hour for entertainment. This is just mine. So you may have, however much put it and enjoyed it thoroughly. I personally would have preferred to have seen a little bit more to it, but playing through again, I'm going to try and see if I can get some friends to play with. That way I can enjoy it even more so. So in the end, I really enjoyed it. I highly, highly recommend it. Doubly so if you have friends to play with. And I honestly hope that they make a Borderlands 3, and I'm steadily waiting what they do with it. So I'd like to thank you guys very much for watching. Shalom, and until next time.